How are property rights protected? Now we have the tools to answer another of the four fundamental questions of property law that we posed at the beginning of this chapter. What are the remedies for the violation of property rights? This question concerns how a court should respond when a private person or the government interferes with someone's property rights. Our discussion in this chapter will focus on interference by a private person. We consider government interference in the next chapter. Section A, Damages and Injunctions. First, we need some background. The remedies available to a common law court are either legal or equitable. The principal legal remedy is the payment of compensatory money damages by the defendant to the plaintiff. These damages are a sum of money that compensates the plaintiff for the wrongs inflicted on her by the defendant. The court determines the appropriate amount of money that will, as the saying goes, make the plaintiff whole. The measurement of this sum is a complex subject itself, which we discuss later. Superscript 16, which reads, there are two more things you should be aware of. First, if a defendant fails to pay a judgment that a court has awarded against him or her, the defendant's property may be seized and sold in order to raise the judgment amount. Second, compensatory damages are to be distinguished from punitive damages, which are money damages over and above compensatory damages assessed against the defendant. The purpose of punitive damages is to punish the defendant, not to compensate the plaintiff. We discuss punitive damages in Chapter 7. Returning to the text, equitable relief consists of an order by the court directing the defendant to perform an act or to refrain from acting in a particular manner. This order is frequently in the form of an injunction, which is said to enjoin the defendant to do or to refrain from doing a specific act. Superscript 17, which reads, the consequence to a defendant of violating an equitable decree are far more serious than the consequences of failing to pay a monetary judgment. The defendant's failure to abide by an injunction not only leaves the plaintiff at a loss, but also constitutes an insult to the authority of the court. A defendant who ignores an equitable order may be held in contempt of court and imprisoned until she agrees to abide by the order. Notice that legal relief is backward-looking in the sense that it compensates a plaintiff for a harm already suffered, whereas equitable relief is forward-looking in the sense that it prevents a defendant from inflicting a harm on the plaintiff in the future. Thus, a court may combine the two forms of relief, awarding money damages for past harms and enjoining acts that could cause future harm. Damages are the usual remedy for broken promises and accidents, where injunction is the usual remedy for appropriating, trespassing, or interfering with another's property. In other words, damages are the usual remedy in the law of contracts and torts, whereas injunction is the usual remedy in the law of property. For these reasons, damages are often referred to in legal literature as a liability rule, where equitable relief is typically called a property rule. To illustrate, the farmer will have to pay damages to the rancher for breach of a contract to deliver hay or for accidentally shooting the rancher's cow while hunting. But if the cattle trespass in the farmer's crops, and if farmers have a right to be free from the depredations of stray cattle, then the court will probably award damages for past harm and enjoin the rancher to constrain her cattle in the future.